When a Student's Rights Are Wrong by Amber Ford. This is my EDL 856 case study. First of all, let's summarize the case and establish the facts. This situation takes place in Nottingham High School, which serves over 3,200 students. It's a growing population, so several relocatable trailers had to be added to provide additional classroom space. A couple years ago, there were some reconstruction projects which brought most of the space up to ADA standards, but one-fourth of the buildings did not undergo construction due to funding, leaving them in the condition that they were in 1950s when they were built. As we move along, this is a great school that has a great reputation, which causes the Hernandez family to want to join the school because of that positive reputation with academics as well as on the football field. They had 4 boys. Their oldest son was Miguel. He's an extremely talented football player and as a sophomore earned the starting quarterback position. After an injury that took place during a football game, Miguel was paralyzed from the waist down. Upon returning to school, Miguel discovered that his class schedule had changed due to no wheelchair access to the biology classroom upstairs. This schedule change did not provide the college preparatory class necessary for Miguel's future goal of attending the university. So with that, the parents came in and wanted to have a strong conversation with administration. So section 2 is any legal or ethical issues. When it comes to thinking of the legal side, my statement is that federal legislation requires that students with disabilities have access to appropriate educational opportunities. And then when I was thinking of the ethical side of that, I was thinking of as a professional educator, that there is an understanding that we want to provide full access to instruction just because that's the right thing to do. So my statement for synthesizing the facts: after a current student's physical ability changed, the school made the changes that were easy for them instead of what was best for the student. So those people involved in this situation are the principal, the teachers, parents, student, and an attorney that the parents brought in. It takes place at the high school, with the meeting taking place in the principal's office. And the program involved is the college prep track that the young man would like to be on. Some things that we don't know is that are there any other students with physical challenges and any modifications or accommodations put into place for other students with physical challenges or not. Review and prioritize the information. I believe this is not an individual's decision. It's a team decision. That team needs to involve various staff members as well as the parents, because the parents are full partners in their child's education. It is the law to provide a free, appropriate public education, and just because something is easy to do doesn't make it the right thing to do. And the ultimate goal is to meet the needs of all students. So some options that I came up with and some positives and negatives for each one. The first one is to just do nothing. And the only positive I could think of is if that's easy for the moment, and literally a moment, because it is against the law. It damages the school image as well as damage relationships between families and the school. My second option is to create a remote location with peers. So how I'm envisioning this is that there'd be a location on the first floor that Miguel could remote in, do Zoom, however works for their school, where they could still get the lessons and participate in class. Some peers could be with him with a building aide to keep an eye on them. So the positives of that is that it would fulfill the college track requirement. Regulations are being followed, and it creates a space for future situations if needed, since this young man's only a sophomore. Some negatives that I thought of is, with it being a biology class, will all the necessary supplies be available for them to complete their experiments or dissections or whatever the teacher has in mind? This does require quite a bit of extra time on the teacher side, and Right now, with the crisis of finding personnel, that may be really hard to do to find someone to supervise the class, and it doesn't fix the overall line problem of not meeting the ADA requirements. And finally, the last option I thought about was to just relocate that classroom. It follows IDEA and it follows FERPA. It creates a culture of recognizing the needs of all students. It fulfills the college track requirement. Um, some negatives to that, though, is time and resources needed for the move. That can't be easy, especially when you're thinking of science equipment and necessary things to fulfill that curriculum. And it doesn't address the overall line problem of the ADA requirements. So when choosing the best option, I have to evaluate the options and I need to remember to promote current and future success and well-being of each student by applying knowledge, skills, and commitments necessary to develop and maintain a supportive, equitable, culturally responsive, and inclusive school culture. To do this effectively, I will apply the knowledge and skills learned to select an option that addresses the situation while allowing me to evaluate, cultivate, and advocate for equitable access to educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the educational success and well-being of each student. So, the best option. I believe that the third option, relocate the classroom, is the best option. It addressed the needs while following IDA and FERPA regulations. I feel like if we could do that, getting that class down there, that may lead to more of those core classes that are college track classes being evaluated for their placement until the ADA requirements can be addressed. But that's the ultimate problem here, is that the district needs to look at funding for the entire building. So implementing the decision, because as I was doing this, I was thinking about working together to increase student success and well-being. So I feel like first there needs to be a team meeting of teachers, students, parents, all those involved in the situation. And at that meeting, evaluate the problem and brainstorm solutions as a team. Then using that information, write and implement a 504 plan. And finally, continue to review the plan and make necessary modifications as necessary. But the main important thing in that part is keeping everybody informed. Communication will be the key to success in this situation. Plan B, if that doesn't work, I would have to go gain insight and support from experts in the field of special education, refer to my superintendent and board of education members, because ultimately funding to renovate the building comes at that level. Thanks for your time. Have a great weekend.